Today we have the pleasure of having Joe Yaxley, the tradesman coach, who has a hugely successful fitness business, making around 40, 50k a month. He will be the number one tradesman's coach in the world, which is wild to even say is a specific niche and not something that probably most people think is even possible, probably myself as well. First question for you, Joe. Did you think you could be this successful in that specific niche coming from your background as you were previously an electrician?
No. Well, it blew up quickly, to be honest, to begin with, and went really, really well. And then I kind of hit a stumbling block where I thought, this ain't going to go no further. I was getting a lot of people cancel calls, a lot of people book calls, not show up and stuff like that. And I did toy with the idea of kind of giving up and going away. I was working with somebody else at the actual time, and I was so close to giving up and going down the route of photo shoot clients, so to speak. And luckily the guy I was working with actually convinced me to stay, and best thing I've ever done. Like, I don't think I'd be where I am now without it, to be honest.
How long ago was that, out of curiosity?
About a year ago, 8 months to a year ago, I think. So I left my job last March. As an electrician, I was still working on tools. 6 months later, so I'd say about last September, 6 months later, I was ready to chuck the towel in and go with Gen Pop, and then stuck with it, battled it out, and yeah, here I am.
So bear in mind that's last March, we're now in September. It's an example of how quickly your life can change, I imagine, dramatically in that period of time.
Yeah, I mean, it's gone quite quickly. Like I say, from being on the tools, I mean, can I swear?
Yeah, because it went from
getting covered in dust and shit. It's literally what I say on my content. Being on the tools, getting covered in dust and shit on a daily basis, to like running a multi-figure fitness business is pretty mad. Like in the space of 18 months, but.
What would you say to anyone who's got limiting beliefs whether they can do it too? Because I imagine like you must have gone through a lot of mindset shifts in that process.
Yeah, massively. Like, you do go through shifts in. You get to the point where you think it's not possible. You get to the point where, like I say, people cancel, people don't show up, and you do feel like giving up. But I think the most important thing is just be resilient, keep going. Like I say in my content as well, if you're building a house, you don't give up. If it ain't built within a week, you got to keep laying the bricks, keep putting the foundations in if you want to build a pretty good bloody mansion.
Do you use that analogy on sales calls? That sounds like
I do use it on sales calls, yeah. Depending who I'm talking to, so it's obviously bricks for bricklayers, wiring a house, pulling the cables in for sparkies or plumbers. If you haven't got a bathtub in within a day, like, don't give up. Keep putting the pipes in. Eventually, that'll all be done.
And from that niche you specifically work with, what do you think is the biggest thing you've learned maybe working with those type of people, even in terms of getting them client results versus like normal people?
Biggest things I've learned with them is, to be honest, we get two different types of people. People who want to be told, like I say to them, we tell you what you need to hear rather than what you want to hear. So we get them types of people, and then we also get other kinds of people who do give up at the first sign of hurdle. But I try and kind of target my content to bring in the people who want to work, because ultimately, like I say to them, it's like bringing on an apprentice. Like, you tell them what to do and they do it, and you know they're going to kind of grow into the person you want them to be. And that's what I say to my clients. Listen, we'll tell you what you need to hear rather than what you want to hear, and you will get to where you want to be eventually, but you got to listen to us and not give up.
Do you find the direct approach with your type of market works better then? Because I imagine it was predominantly going to be male, I'm going to guess.
Yeah, so we've worked with the odd female. Like, we've signed up the odd client who's come on board and been like, or the husband's been like, oh, my missus wants to do it. And it's like, well, she understands your lifestyle, so she can. But yeah, direct approach works really well. I think they're quite straight talking. We're quite straight talking. And like I say, by being straight talking, hopefully we push away the guys who are a bit flaky and wussy and don't want to be told what to do, because ultimately they're never going to get results. So
why do you think you've been successful as an online coach very, very quickly, and so many people struggle who may even be doing it for years?
Resilience, maybe. Keep going. Like, don't get me wrong, I've put in a hell of a lot of hours to get to where I want to be, whereas I think a lot of people expect success to just come super, super, super quick. And then go back to the house analogy, like, to build anything half decent, you got to put in the reps, you got to put in the work. And I've done it. Like, I've done long days, hard hours, hard nights, like arguments with the girlfriend because I'm working too much, but eventually it does pay off, and you do kind of start working towards a place where you want to be. I'm nowhere close yet, but I'm getting there.
And I think there's an element of that of like choose your hard. So I imagine the hard you have now is probably easier than the hard maybe of working on the tools every day and like commuting to places and dealing with that shit. Because I think that now where I'm like, someone's like, oh, this is really stressful, I have to work really hard. And like, I look out the window in Dubai and there's some like poor bastard who's working in a building site and it's like 45 degrees outside.
Yeah, I've seen that since being here for the first time, like seeing them struggle. And I literally said the other day, I was like, I wouldn't want to be here working as a builder, but it's even worse, to be honest, in the UK. Like, it's just as bad going to work, getting covered in dust, training in the gym covered in dust, shivering. Like, at least now I'm doing something that I want to do every single day. It doesn't feel like work. Like, I'm much happier now, I guess, content. And I can help people. I can help a lot more people now, like I said. Well, like I've said again in my content, I can only serve so many people as an electrician. There's loads of electricians out there, but there's only one tradesman's coach.
And I think that's where you also have a very big USP. If you look at, like, for example, someone like Dave Kennedy as well, who helps farmers, and he's from Ireland, and he's doing 150,000 a month, shows how far you can also go with a very specific niche, which I think a lot of people don't really believe. And I think one of the reasons you do so well is your content is so specific in terms of who you target. What would you say for anyone listening who's a coach who maybe struggles with that aspect you've learned through, like, coming up with your own content ideas and being different?
I think you've got to talk to yourself almost. Like, if you're acting like a person who you're not actually are, then people ain't going to buy into you. You've got to talk to, like, I talked to Joe, who's on site as an electrician 4 years ago, getting covered in dust and crap on a daily basis, like, not knowing what to do, getting peer pressured by the big blokes on site for eating or to eat sausage rolls, then peer pressuring me because I don't want a burger on a Friday because I'm trying to stick to a diet, and everyone taking a piss out of me. Like, you've got to talk to that person. And I think I get so many people come in and message me and say, "Mate, I watched that video. That is me standing outside Greg's buying Costa coffees every single day." So I literally just talk to that person who I was. And it's mad because in the tradie world, literally everyone lives that life. You either get the guys who are actually in shape and don't need help, or you get the complete opposite. People don't know what to do, what to eat, when to eat it, and they are spending 5, 10, 15, 20 quid a day sometimes buying crap literally on a daily basis. So I just imagine that I'm talking to myself on site.
And I think that's actually a really good lesson for anyone listening to this. Like, one of the things I'm a big believer is you solve the problems a younger version of you had, right? So you knew the problems these people had because you used to have them, and you knew what the solution is, so it's easy for you to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing for me from a business point of view or for fitness, because, like, the problems maybe you have now in business I had a couple of years ago. So I understand the mindset problems you have, the challenges with people being idiots who you hire who cause all types of problems. Like, it's the fun and games of life, but you understand from their perspective because you've actually been in their shoes.
Yeah, if you've got a problem, you're saying go to the person who's been there, done it, and solved it. Like, I think that's a big thing, and that was part of the reason why I bought into you. You're doing it, you're living it on a daily basis, which is why, like, part of my biggest USP, I say to people, listen, why are we any different? We've been there, done it. Like, there's a lot of coaches out there who might claim they can help you, but they haven't been there on site, in the dust, in the cold, sort of getting fit. There isn't many people who've done it, so I think you've got to go to the person who's actually done the thing that you actually want to do.
And has also got the relevant experience to your specific niche. Because imagine even like your guys, imagine a lot of them maybe spend a lot of time in the van every day, traveling around. It's like you understand the small nuances with that, which then A, helps you from a content perspective because you can speak to them, but B, it also helps to solve their problems and get them better results.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like I say, I've been there and done it. So I lived the life for over 12 years, so I know exactly what it's like.
With the business you have right now, what do you think is the biggest growth factor you've had and the biggest thing, like, shift you've seen in you personally, maybe from a personal development side of things?
Biggest growth factor, I think, is team. Like, realising that I can only go so far by myself. Like, I've just been reading the book 10x Bigger Than 2x,
yes.
And the fact that...
Did I recommend that to you?
Yeah. You can only go so far by yourself. And there was a saying in there, I've got it written down on my phone, it was like, you can only put so many hours in a day and you're limited, like, to the amount of effort. You don't get paid. It was talking about footballers or something. It was like, you don't get paid for the effort. You get paid for, like, the outcome of what you do, basketball players and stuff like that. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, I've been through, which you know as well, high churn of staff to get to, like, A players, so to speak. And I think staff make a massive difference in growth as a company and sort of helping you get to where you want to be.
And correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I think one of the things that people struggle with, particularly when they start to hire staff, is they think they need to do everything for their staff, but the reality is, like, staff are actually there to make your life easier, whereas what actually happens for most people when they don't hire correctly or don't have the right processes, it actually makes your life more difficult because you're trying to deal with incompetent people who aren't doing the things they're supposed to be doing. But that's actually us as the entrepreneurs who need to take ownership of that, because people say their staff are shit, but then we hired and trained them. So, like, that's our fault for putting the person in place without the right frameworks around them.
Yeah, and I've learned as well, to be honest, that the more responsibility you give them, the better they get. Like, I've been there, done the babysitting and stuff, and I'm now trying, like, for example, when I come away, like this time we've come away, try and take a bit more of a back step. Maybe don't get back to them as quick as you can, because they then learn to deal with them problems, and they actually then get better, and they actually sort of help make your life a hell of a lot easier, which is why you hired them in the first place.
And the way I'd even say that is like a lot of people almost turn up to work for, say, maybe you or for me, and it's like they take their brain out, but you actually need to like force them to figure things out themselves, because a lot of these problems aren't that complex. If they just sat there and thought, like, what would Joe do, what would Charlie do, they probably know what the right answer is.
Yeah, so I had an issue the other day, so I've only just got my staff to start kind of posting my content, so I'll schedule it, they post it. Went to post it on like the first day, and he didn't have access to the Google Drive, and I can't remember what I was doing, but I didn't get back to him in time, and eventually they figured it out between him and the admin girl. They managed to sort out the access and stuff, but it's like people ask you silly questions, and if you treat them like babies, they're going to act like babies.
And then I'm sure it probably goes through in that book. So it's a really good book I'd actually recommend everyone reads. It's 10x is easier than 2x by Austin Netzley. And the problem is that every time someone messages you, it distracts you from doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And then the bigger your team gets, the more people you have messaging you, the more distracting it gets. And you end up with like an endless day of just being a busy fool, not actually doing anything other than just like ping-ponging messages to people. And that's actually a big mistake I used to make, where I would literally like just fire messages to people out all day long to get shit done. And stuff wouldn't happen because people would forget or whatever. Whereas like now we have like a bulletproof project management system, and we'll have to like actually add the task in, and I also have to not be lazy myself in terms of like following the system and not cutting the corners.
Yeah, I've found that massively. Like, give people tasks, give people SOPs, make sure they're doing it on a daily basis, and just implementing like simple systems like yourself, like getting people to report back to you with like a video at the end of each day telling you what they've done, giving you a roundup. And that's been a game changer for me, like keeping an eye on the staff but actually knowing what they're doing is what they should actually be doing. Whereas before that I used to ask a lot of questions and think, well, I don't have a clue what's happening with X's clients or Y's clients, so what's even happening with them. Whereas now I've got like a clear picture of exactly what's happening in like each department in the business.
Here's a question for you. When you were on site, you used to mess around a bit?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, so imagine people working from home, they've got no one really monitoring what they're doing, they're fucking messing around loads. And this is actually why making them record a video of what they've done that day actually keeps them accountable to actually make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I don't know if you see it in your setters, but I see it in ours and most other setting teams. You have to be like on people all the time, otherwise they're not doing as much or what they should be, and they get pretty lackadaisical.
Yeah, it's easy to get comfortable. Like, if you're only expected to do a certain amount, so push them, set targets. But if people hit targets, again, I'm a big believer in like, if someone's doing a good job, you should reward them. But if you push them and they're hitting them, then great. Like I say, I'm here to not only grow a team, but hopefully I can help other people kind of grow a bit of a lifestyle that they want to live as well. And
the reality is, though, if they do what they're supposed to do, it's going to help you achieve what you want and make more money and help more people, and then the merry-go-round. And it's like I think I've said this to you before, it's like you incentivize people for the performance you want. So if you tell people, okay, I want this many calls a day booked that are qualified, you get a bonus, they're way more likely to do it because they're incentivized to. Yeah, that's something we've just introduced, like more bonuses. So, yes, listen, this is like your base rate or whatever. This is what you're getting for doing your job. Like, this is the standard that needs to be done, but if you do really good, like, I will pay you, I will reward you, sort of thing. With the business you have right now at the moment, what do you feel is the challenge and your constraint right now? Staff again. I'm having a big issue, as you know, with closers, like bringing in high churn, people coming in. So the latest issue I've had, people coming in thinking that they're going to absolutely blow it out of the water. They haven't probably done as well as what they thought they were going to within the sort of first few calls and stuff, and then they've kind of pulled out, or just finding the right staff members. But again, once you find the good ones, keep hold of them, but it's just finding the good ones sometimes. I think especially with the online world, like, because you don't always know what you're going to get. Yeah, and that's actually why I said to you before, it's like the most important thing is hiring and vetting people like really hard and actually being quite aggressive in the interview process to like put people off almost, because the problem is when you hire people and it doesn't work out, it wastes time, but then you're also back into square one of like, okay, fuck, I need to find someone else, and the merry-go goes around. One of the things that you have done really well, though, is like what I mentioned, is like hiring more than one closer at a time, because if you hire two, then you've got like one of the two generally work out in an ideal scenario. But sales is always going to be a high turnover position, and salespeople are notoriously difficult to manage because it's a very emotional thing. Like, you know as well,
Yeah.
right? You have like 5 sales calls booked and no one fucking turns up, you're pissed.
Yeah.
Or like you have like 5 in a row, you don't close them when you're pissed.
Yeah, come off calls plenty of times. I give up. I'm not doing sales. I'm doing low ticket. I'll just sell monthlies. It's easier. I've done that so many times before.
But that's where also, like, you mentioned your strength is resilience. There's also you to build the resilience into the team members you have as well. And when you can do that, it then actually you create a proper team and everyone works together.
I found that recently, like, used to get I used to get like really emotionally drained, like people don't turn up or I don't close them, whereas now I come off, I'm like, yeah, I'm what, like shit fit, like on to the next one sort of thing. Like
their loss.
I think you get to a certain point where like some people can't be helped. Yes, I'm not the best closer in the world, like somebody else might have closed him, but some people can't be helped, and on to the next one sort of thing.
Corby, who used to be head coach of Mastermind, who sadly passed away, he said a good analogy to me once, because I used to take everything very personally. It was like, when the wildebeest cross the Sahara in Africa, like only 90% of them make it. Like 10% are going to eat by line. So you can't fucking save everyone. So like the reality is you have to understand you're never going to get everyone to turn up to sales call. You're never going to sell everyone. You're never going to get 100% client results, because like even if you if you just touch your head once a day, you get sick results. They still wouldn't fucking do it, because some people are just like that.
I listened to I think it was a Denzel Washington thing, and it was like you can chuck some people to life vest, but some people just won't take it, and they'll drown, and they're happy to drown, and it'll be there, and they just won't take it. I think that's the same with this. Like, you can offer some people to help, you can do it for them, but I think some people just can't be helped. And we have the odd clients, you know what I mean, come in and stick to everything. Worked with multiple coaches, doesn't see results, and then they wonder why. But it's you know what I mean, clearly kind of a client issue sometimes. Some people just can't be helped.
And I think it's also probably, my opinion, one of the things we lack in the world is like extreme ownership of problems, and also like brutal honesty. So to give an example, I made some content the other week which got some flack, where I talked about there's a load of fat PTs in the gym, and in my opinion, if you're a personal trainer, you should be in good shape, because your job is to get people in good shape, and you practice what you preach. But the reality is, I think too many people don't actually hold themselves to high enough standards across everything. And I don't know if you saw that in trades, when people weren't doing their job as well as they could do. But a part of that maybe is a bit of British culture, where we let people get away with things they shouldn't and let the standards slip.
Yeah, in the early days of coaching, we used to like mollycoddle around people and then wonder why you don't get results. Whereas now we're like, listen, you're coming in, you want to be pushed, you're joining the program and you're paying because you want us to hold you to standards and actually get you results. Like late check-ins and stuff like that, used to give people feedback, and now we're like, we're literally doing you a disservice. We're not holding you accountable by like accepting late check-ins. And I actually done content about a month ago actually. I was talking about fat tradespeople, and I was like, listen, if you're a managing director and you're looking down at your stomach, pulling your t-shirt down all the time, like customers notice that, other people notice that, your employees working for you, they're not going to have the respect of somebody who's in shape. Like, you say what you like, but it's true. And I actually had an ex-client who'd left the program message me, and he was like, mate, you've changed, like the way you're kind of talking about people. It's like, but it's reality, it's fucking true. Like if you're like me, PT, you've got to be in shape. You've got to kind of be leading from the front. If you're a business owner, tradesman especially, you've got to be in shape. You should be able to do the job. Like if you're getting out of breath walking up the stairs, or you can't lay a brick because you're so big, then you shouldn't be a business owner. You shouldn't have people working for you.
I'm so glad you said that, because I wouldn't hire anyone who's fat, because of the simple reason you can't look after yourself. So how could you look after anything to do with my business?
Yeah, I think that's so true. And truth hurts, so they say. Like the guys who get offended are usually the guys.
That's why people get triggered on this thing that I put up, because it's like you're all getting triggered and pissed because you know it's true, and you're actually letting yourselves down. So your anger isn't with me; it's with yourself, because you know you're capable of more than you're currently at. But this is where some people just need to kick up the arse and to be told how it really is. And I think in some respects, like, shame is good. People should be shamed in some respect, because it gives you a response to be like, well, fuck that guy, I'm going to prove him wrong. And I think men in particular sometimes need something like that to trigger them to be like, well, I'm going to fucking prove him wrong.
I actually, we had a photo shoot August, so about a month ago, and I actually had one of the lads come up to me at the end, and he was like, mate, I'm so glad that you made me do this. He was like, look at me now, like, look at the shape I'm in, like, how good I'm feeling. So he came off the back of a breakup, got to the end of the call, he was having an hour, and I managed to get him on. And it's so worth it, I think, when you look back like that and you actually push people and they realise it's worth it. But for most people, it's taking that first step, I think, which is the hardest.
So one of the things you said there was pushing him to get him on. Now, most people think pushing people to do something, say selling them, is unethical. But you actually pushing the guy because you could see what he's capable of and that he was afraid has actually changed his life.
Yeah, I think as a coach as well, you're kind of doing a disservice. Like, that's one thing that I say to people now. Like, I'm getting more, obviously since I've been doing this a long time, much more confident calling people out on their shit. And it's like, listen, mate, I'm doing you a disservice by letting you walk away. You've told me that the reason you haven't taken action is you just make excuses. You need someone to hold you accountable. You still need to think about it. Reality is you've been thinking about it the last 6 years, which is why you're in the position you are. Like, if you don't take action, again, the reality is you're probably going to carry on exactly the same as you are. So, like I say, it's not calling, it is calling people out of shit, but it's just telling them how it is, which some people need to be told.
And the biggest actually problem I see with people from a sales perspective is the most difficult, awkward question that you should be asking is the one that you actually need to ask, but most people are afraid to. Because that's the thing that no one else would probably ask them. Yeah. That probably get them to open up and be like, fuck, I completely see where Joe's coming from.
Yeah, 100%. And it's getting them to actually, like, a lot of time people don't tell you the issue why they don't want to sign up. So it's just pushing them, or digging deeper. Yeah.
So people will say, oh, I need to think about it, but it's actually circumnavigating that to get them to open up of like what the real reason is.
Yeah, and I've found, especially with the guys we work with, trust is the most important. Like, well, with anything, like if you're going to buy something, you wouldn't go into a shop and buy something off someone who you felt was dodgy. Like, you've got to trust the person. And I've found that massively with like the closers who have hired recently, is that I've noticed there's a massive lack of trust, which is part of the reason why I feel like people haven't been buying. So that's
commission growth.
Yeah, which I think is quite a big thing with me. Obviously, taking the calls, people, like, again, people know you, people trust you, and people like obviously speaking to me. But yeah, like, you've got to actually give a shit about helping the person. Otherwise, they ain't gonna buy from you.
100%. I'll ask you a question. What gave you the trust to come and work with me and us?
Social proof, results. I think that's the most important thing. As with like me and my business, one thing people say to me, I've seen the results you get, which I think is the same with you. And to be honest, it was Dave Kennedy, like knowing that somebody from the UK, somebody working with such a specific niche can do it. And I remember literally saying to my partner, listen, he can do it. Like, he works with farmers.
Which is more obscure than you.
Yeah, and I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I was like, he's making this much money. Like, if he can do it, why can't I do any different? And I think that was the turning point for me, like seeing people similar to me, similar to Nathan as well. So I've spoken to Nathan a few times. Such a specific niche and people doing so well. And I think that's the biggest thing. The fact that you're doing it yourself, but the fact that you're just churning out time and time again, like, results with people
monster businesses
so similar to me. Like, it's mind blowing.
And that's actually why I'm smiling, but it's 6, thank you. The big thing I say is when you have a niche like that, it's actually easier in some respects. It's hard at the beginning, but when you start to get some traction, you can go fucking next level with it. Like, Dave's going to be on a TV show in Ireland, I think, in next month or something, because you can start to like really own that narrative to the point you could have like the Tradesman podcast, the Tradesman YouTube channel, like, that's super specific, because there's so much generic fat lot shit on the internet. But if it's specifically for this type of audience, like, the sky is the limit, in my opinion, of how far you can go with that.
Yeah, and I've actually recently partnered with like a tradie business coach, like trying to make my program better. Yeah. And similar to like what you do on your program, he's going to come in, he's going to do like weekly Q&As, weekly calls. So not only do people get like fitness, but they get business as well. Like, I want to give people not just fitness, but more for their money, because it's a lifestyle. Like, if you're in shape and your business is doing well and you have to work less, then like it's winner, isn't it? So I just want to, but like I say, being so specific, I can kind of bring them people in. And I've been on a few like tradie podcasts and stuff as well, and I've had a lot of people reach out to me, a few people in the States who I've kind of ignored or said no to, because I'm like, listen, you don't really talk to me on my market. But like I said, I've partnered with this guy, top bloke, I'll shout him out, Dario. So he's starting with the lads this month, and yeah, it's exciting, like, being able to bring it to the program and give people more value for the money.
But that's also where, like, it can start with fitness, but the other things that can come off of that into that niche is huge, because fitness, business, like, relationships, all this shit is all combined. It's like health, wealth, relationships, the 3 biggest things in life. So if you can help people within that niche with all of them, you can almost build a whole ecosystem around that.
Yeah, like I say, if you're in shape, you're fit, and your business is doing well, you don't have too many problems, really.
Yeah, and I think that's also what's important for people listening to understand, is like not being two-dimensional. So I think one of the reasons some coaches struggle is they only focus on making content and running their business, but they look like a fucking sack of potatoes. It's like, if you're in good shape, it's easier to actually have a successful fitness business because people will want to look like you, and it's aspirational, and you look like you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's the same with mine. Like a lot of my content, I try and get on business side and stuff like that because, yes, I do film stuff in the gym, but if I'm sat behind a desk doing all my content, it's like, who's this guy sat behind his desk? Like, that ain't me. So next thing I've been toying, I don't think it's going to happen, but I've been toying with the idea of getting a van. I think like that'd be so, in terms of content anyway, like it'd be sick. White van, pull up. But yeah, we try and get on a lot of business sites and stuff because it's just relatable. It's like where the builders spend their time.
You thought about trying to film in like Juicens and Wicks and all the trade?
Yeah, so we have done that. Screwfix, Greg's, Subway, McDonald's. We've got a lot of that coming.
That I think for me is the niche where you can make a lot of viral stuff around that, but almost like slight comedy parody around some of it as well.
That's what I mean now. I just need to pull up to Screwfix in my white van and get out. That's the one thing I miss in a van.
I think you nail that. You then fucking go nuclear. Because if you look at the big thing that took Dave to the next level was really the sales side of things team, but also getting the content right and then running ads behind the back end of that to then really push that up. Yeah,
and I was listening to his client hot seat the other day, and the fact that he said that, you said, I've never seen you in a gym, Dave. And I literally thought the same. Like, I look at your content, you're in a combine, you're on the field. Like, that's so relatable. So it's like a big pointer for me. Like,
because your tradie guys don't want to see that. They want to see you actually on site, like pretty much all the content. Because that's what's relatable to them. Yeah,
exactly. Which, so when I am in a gym, I make sure I'm wearing a hard hat, a high vis, and my boots now, as if I'm coming from work.
Yeah, and make it like comedy. And I think that's also a take-home point for anyone listening to this. Is like everything you make online has to be relatable to the audience, or it's got to be something that like buys people into your personal brand.
Yeah, 100%. It's got to be relatable.
Yeah,
people have got to feel like down to earth for you. People have got to be able to relate to you on a personal level. And like I say, that is our biggest USP, the fact that I've been there and done it myself. Like every time I ask people, I say, listen, what fucking hundreds of PTs out there, why have you come to me? Why do you think I can solve your problems? And like, mate, you've been there, you've done it. Like, not only got the results, but you've done it yourself. You've literally like done it. So I'm like, yeah, fair enough. Can't argue with it.
And that's where the proof is in the pudding with everything, right? You done the thing, you can then teach the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the most important thing. One last question for you. What would you say to anyone who's sitting on the fence coming to work with me or us at Seven Figure Scaling Systems?
Stop sitting on the fence and fall off it. I think it's the same with anything. The more you think about something, the more you talk yourself out of it and stuff like that. Like, just look at the results. Like I said, that's the reason that I jumped. Proof's in the pudding. If you want to put in the work, you can get the results, and it's proved that. Like, if you follow what you do and what you say, you're doing it in your business. Like, there's no reason why it can't work, even with the most specific niches out there. The likes that you've proved it, like, fall off that fence.
100%. I think the biggest thing I say to anyone that will hold them back is fear, and the fastest thing that actually gets you to where you want to be is just implementing things quickly and executing.
Yeah.
Like, one of my favourite sayings is money loves speed and wealth loves time, and the quicker you are to do shit, even if it doesn't work, you then learn and then you get to where you want to be.
Yeah, exactly. Just follow what you say and do it as quick as you can.
100%. Where's the best place for people to find out more about you, Joe?
To be honest, Instagram's the best place. So it's Joe _ the tradesman's coach.
There's only one.
Yeah, just the number one online fitness coach for trade workers.
We'll see, and we'll be worldwide soon. So big thank you for your time today. If everyone enjoyed the podcast, if you want help in terms of scaling a business, we offer free calls in terms of how to help grow your business. They're not sales calls. We'll break down what the number one point of restraint is in your business and how we can help you. Obviously, we want to join the program and help you as well. So we'll give you value in terms of how you can make money to pay us. If you want to book in a call, hit the link below this video. If you took value from this, make sure you smash the like button, comment on any questions, subscribe, and make sure you go give Joe a follow, and we'll see you next episode very soon.